Is your music theory holding you back? Can you come up with a decent chord progression, but it's just lacking something? It's lacking that depth, it's lacking that professionalism, it's lacking the rhythmic and melodic values. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you six tips that you can use to turn your simple chord progressions like this into something that sounds like this. Alright, so tip number one, and that is to use the bass notes, use the bottom notes of your chords as the bass notes. Now, this tip is so simple, but it's so effective. So let's copy these. Move them down an octave, same as these. I'm just grabbing all the lowest notes of the chord and copying them down one octave. Sounds cool, but not cool enough. So let's try it 2 octaves. Sounds a lot better, but I think these notes are too low. They stand out to me. Alright, that's sounding a lot better. Okay, so tip number 2 is chord inversions. Now, when you invert a chord, you basically get any one of these notes that are in your main chord progression here, and then shift it up or down an octave, like this. Up an octave or down an octave. Now, you can choose any note, up or down. Sometimes if you shift a note up like this, you can also choose to leave the original one in place, or you can choose to get rid of it, whatever suits you. I like to just do a mixture of 2, just to, I don't know, experiment, see how things go. So where was this? This was here. Let's do that. Let's shift this one up, shift this one up, and shift these 2 up. Sounds good, but I don't like this. Let's try this. A good little trick is see how widespread these chords are and then see how narrow these chords are. Having it go from wider to narrower kind of helps build a chord progression, I find, and I do this trick a lot. So I'm going to start filling in some of these empty gaps in here and just try and beef it up a bit. So what do we got? G. Let's see if we got a G down here. There, A, there, and I think like a C. Leave that C where it was, like I said earlier. So that's already sounding a lot more full. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to delete these, duplicate this, and now we have our full chord progression. Okay, so tip number 3, and in my opinion, this is the most important tip, and that is adding rhythm to your chord progressions. Now, this is quite simple. It's just like on the beat, nothing exciting, and there's like different ways you can do this. You can simply change the whole chord progression length, like the whole chord length, and add rhythm that way, or you can change specific note lengths and add rhythm that way. Now, what I like to do is change the rhythm of the bass notes, because the bass notes are what make people move, yeah? And that's what you want to do with your music. You want to make people move. So let's do that. Let's add a little bit of rhythm in here. This is quite a popular rhythm, actually, that I'm doing now. You'll end up seeing this in a lot of dance music. And let's just duplicate this. Let's have a listen now. As you can hear, it's kind of got this swing to it now. That swing kind of makes you bop a little bit. Now, I'm going to show you another song here that has that same swing to it, but it's got that swing over all of the chords. So as you can see, nothing's on the beat. It is all off the beat, but it's all following this rhythmic progression, which just adds so much excitement to it. Now, if you know what song this is, leave a comment below, because I love this song. It's one of my favorites. So I know there's probably some of you out there going, but Fabian, how do we, this is an 8-bar loop. How do we turn this into a full song? Well, you know what? There's ways you can do that. Now, if you're interested in learning how to turn an 8-bar loop into a full song and keep the listener interested, check out my video. I'll put it in one of the corners up here. But make sure to keep watching this video. Check out the remaining 3 tips on these filling out your chord progressions, because if you do them all, it makes such a big difference. All right, off to the next tip. Okay, tip number 4 is adding a melody. Now, I think when you come up with a good chord progression, there's a melody inside of it, and it's waiting to be found. So it's our job to find that melody. So use that mindset when listening to your chord progression and when creating your chord progression to help develop a melody. So let's listen to this now. So I can kind of hear something in these like top layers up here that's waiting to be emphasized and brought out. Now, the best places to emphasize it are the transitions from chords. So there's a transition here, and there's a transition here into the next chord progression. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add some notes, some like transition notes, just to smoothen out the, what have we got here? Smoothing out the transitions between chord progressions. So that's already sounding a lot better now, just from those 2 like transitions. So now what I want to do, I want to add another little transition in here just to break up this dead space. Either in here or in here. I think in both would be too much, and that's a good little trick. Is it's easy to go too much, but hard to find that right balance. So let's try and add something in here now. I'm just going to use these same notes that I have around this melody just to keep it simple. I think all it needs is maybe something up here. Alright, so tip number 5 is changing your velocities. Your velocities are like how hard someone hits the notes on a piano, but because we're penciling all this stuff in manually, it's just hitting everything at the same velocity, which sounds like robotic and crap. So a couple of rules that I like to do is I like to lower the bass notes a little bit. And you can do that by highlighting all the bass notes, holding Alt, and then clicking and dragging down. I like to leave the top notes kind of a little bit higher because they're the melody and I want them to stand out. And then all these middle ones, I'm just going to drag down a little bit for now. Like a so, like a this. And there's a twang in here, that one. So I kind of like those. Dun, dun, dun. And maybe let's mess around with some of these a bit. Maybe bring this one down, bring this one back up a bit. And basically mess around with this until you find something that has a nice human feel to it. So the last tip is called nudging, and what it is, it's like moving these notes slightly off the beat just to give it that human feel. Now, like, everything here is quantized. It's perfectly on beat because that's what happens when you pencil in manually. So in order to do this, all you have to do is hold Alt and then tap right or left, and you can see that it moves. Yeah, so I'm just going to go a couple of taps to the right, you know, a couple of taps to the right, maybe like one tap here, and you'll see if this one, when I tap it, it deletes the note behind it because they're overlapping. So what you can do on here, you can hold Alt and Shift and then tap left, and you can see it shrinks the note. And now just hold Alt, tap it across again. Now I kind of like to tap them more to the right than to the left. Adds like a lazy, delayed kind of feel that I like. I'm going to go through all these notes. I'm going to speed it up, and then I'll show you what it sounds like once I've finished. Okay, that's all done. Now let's have a listen. It's going to be very subtle, but it does add a little bit of excitement to it. Alright, so that's basically it, yeah? Let's duplicate that over here. Now, so these six tips can easily transform a boring chord progression into something that's worthy, and it's got rhythm, it's got melodic values, and a nice warm human feel to it. So let's listen to this with the rest of the song.
Maybe I'll show you what's new. Pull you aside, not come for you.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope these 6 tips, you're going to implement them into your own tracks. Because if you do, I guarantee you that it will improve your tracks by at least 10%. So if you're interested in the other video that I was talking about earlier, about how to turn a 8-bar chord progression into a full song, then just hang around for the end of the video and you'll see this video pop up somewhere around here. Somewhere here or something.